Hi, this is Eric Appleton from the CUNY Adult Literacy Program. In this video, I want to show teachers how to sign up for Google Classroom and to start or open a classroom that you can use with students. So the first step is you need to have a Google login, either a Gmail login or any Google login. Usually that'll be Gmail, but it is possible to make a Google login that doesn't have Gmail. I do have a separate video on that. But once you have your Google login or your Gmail login, you want to open up classroom.google.com. And it's already showing up here. So I'm going to go to that address and log in with my Google account. So once I logged in to Google Classroom, I see a couple classes that I already have. One of these classes I'm a student in. This class here, setting up a Google Classroom account, was with Moira Taylor from our program. So she set up this class and invited me as a student. This other second class is the Monday evening math class that I taught last spring, spring of 2020. So I'm a teacher for this class. So you can be a student in one class and a teacher in another class, or a teacher of multiple classes in Google Classroom. To either start a classroom or to join someone's classroom, you go to the top where this little plus sign is, the top right. It says create or join a class. So I'm going to click plus here and click create a class. If I had a class code from another teacher, I could click join class and put in that class code. And we'll take a look in a minute where that code comes from. So we click on create class. And there's a little disclaimer here. Are you using Classroom at a school with students? If so, your school must sign up for a free G Suite for Education account before you can use Classroom. In my experience, this is more appropriate for K through 12 and doesn't really apply for our use in adult education. G Suite for Education isn't really a practical pathway for our programs. It's not really something that's possible. So in order to move forward using Google Classroom, what we should do is click, I've read and understand the above notice. I'm not using Classroom at a school with students. Now, clearly we are using Google Classroom at a school with students, but we're not using it with K-12 students. And we're not really using it in the way that that I think is intended for G Suite for Education. Anyway, it's not a pathway that's really available to us so in order to use Google Classroom, we need to check this disclaimer and continue. And so now we're at the point of creating the class, and we start by putting in a class name. And that class name can just, it should be whatever the name that was provided, from the program. Let's say I might call this, HSE math. That's the subject I often teach. Maybe the math subject is math. And there's no room number, right? You can use Google Classroom even when you're in person with students, but in this case, there's no room number. And you don't have to fill out all these sections. So then I click create. And it takes a minute here. And here is my class. So what you'll want to start to do is to make assignments and things like that and get to get to know how to use this, but really it's just that easy to create a class. In order to sign up students for your class, here is the class code. And this is, randomly created, and you can't modify it to my understanding. So this code is just for this particular class, UDCTDJY. And you can, if you're displaying it on a screen for students, you can click here and makes it easier for students to see, or you can copy it. There's actually also an invite link here that you might click, and then it copies that link, which you could then paste into an email or a WhatsApp message, or however else you need to give that to students so they can sign up for your class. So this is the code they will need, and this invite link would get them directly to Google Classroom so they can join your class. One more thing before we finish here. There's a couple of setup things that I recommend. If you go to the gear on the top right, this is the same for all Google apps. This is the settings area. If you click on that gear, you'll notice here's our class name. You can also put in a class description, which is kind of nice. You could tell students a little bit about what they would expect from the class, maybe. And you could maybe put your contact information and email address, that sort of thing, so they can always know how to get to a hold of you. But there's a couple things I want to point out here if you scroll down a bit. Here is that link that we copied before, so you could copy this link and send it to students so it gets them into Google Classroom easily, or you can just give them the code here. These are a couple options that I would recommend that you adjust. So the stream is it's a feed of different news, I guess, related to the class. And it's on the front page when students first connect. Students often mistake that stream as the place where their homework is posted or where they should respond. And we have found that students are often confused by it. And our recommendation is that you don't allow students to post or comment there, because oftentimes they will put their homework, their classwork in the stream rather than where you need to have them posted, where you can respond to it. So what I would recommend is that instead of having students being able to post and comment, you should change this to only teachers can post and comment. It'll make the stream simpler. And the other thing you can do is, rather than showing condensed notifications of classwork on the stream, we recommend that you hide notifications. Otherwise, what happens is every time you post some classwork, it gets duplicated in the stream, and it's actually pretty confusing for students. This will make the stream much simpler for students. So only teachers can post and comment for the stream, and then hide notifications of classwork on the stream. Do what you like, but this is what we recommend. And then make sure you hit save. And then once you do that, your Google Classroom is set up. There are no assignments yet, but it does mean that you have a classroom now that you can use to give assignments to your students, and we'll link to some other videos that show how to set that up. So please contact us if you have any questions, and thanks for your time.